Welcome back to the Double Dispatch podcast. This is episode 1, and I have a very, very special guest with me today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, okay. I am Carly. I shouldn't say my last name.
I said my last name. You're going to have my last name eventually.
That's
so.
true. Just leave a little bit of mystery.
Okay.
And I am Josh's fiance, as you can tell.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, this is okay. So we have a question to open this up.
Okay.
Open this.
Gotta open this
Before
up.
he mansplains everything to me.
Oh my
okay.
gosh.
What name would you never? Can I go first?
Yes, of course.
Okay. What name would you never give your child? Okay, I always wanted to name my child.
I thought you were asking me the question.
Well, but I want to answer it first.
What? You just said, can you... You asked the question first and I would answer it.
Okay, fine, answer.
Okay. I would never name my child XA1232 or whatever Elon Musk's son name is, because that's a lame name and he can't spell it, and that's just dumb.
He can't spell his own name?
Well, yeah, he's a baby. He can't spell it's like a weird hyphen E or something, like it's a robot.
That's really weird.
It's really weird. He's just doing it to, yeah. I don't like that guy.
Oh, well, I wouldn't name my child Mary Jane. Because even though I really like the name Mary and the name Jane, and I really wanted to do that,
yeah,
it's after a drug. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
I
like your answer way better, actually.
Yeah, so I can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, the reason that I asked you to be on this podcast, Carly, was because I wanted to talk to you a little bit about virtual learning. And I wanted to discuss the pros and cons of learning virtually. We've both gone through the COVID pandemic, so we've had to deal with how normal, school institutions had to navigate this new frontier of learning virtually for the safety of America. So I am on the side of pro. I really like virtual learning, and I wish for the future, I wish there would be a revival in education, and we would really focus on being able to learn virtually. Yes, I would use that word. I really do not enjoy the current situation for education, and I think that it would be a lot better if we could use technology more in how we're teaching students and stuff.
Really?
Yes. I 100% believe this.
Okay. So do you have any questions then, or how are you going to teach me?
That's a great. I wanted to. What is your opinion on learning things virtually? Gonna have to lower the audio level on that. That was so loud.
I know.
It's fine.
I think that there's pros and cons. Actually, for ear training, I think it's really good because I'm, a music major, music therapy, and we do a lot of ear training. And I think ear training is beneficial if you do it online.
Actually, I would love talk more about what you are doing for your career. Let's talk about music therapy.
Well, music therapy is basically something where I can come in and use music as a tool to help people improve on cognitive, emotional, or mental things, or motor skills, anything like that. And we work with a wide range of populations. But right now, I'm still getting my degree, so I'm in year 2, and I'm graduating early. I'll try to be fast.
Wow, you're so... No, we can take as long as we want. Don't worry about it. This is... Podcasts are like hours long. We don't have to speed up. We're just talking. We're just chilling.
Someone will put us on 2.0 speed.
Yes, and someone might, but that's on them.
Your mother.
My mother would never.
No, she wouldn't.
She loves the podcast so far. Yeah.
It would be my mother.
It would be your mother. You're boring. I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes, I know this, but I'm saying this for the audience's reason. I am in computer science, and I do stuff a lot more sort of. You are more soft skill focused in your education than I would say I am. You deal with, you are helping people. And
I'm on my feet a lot,
yes,
too.
but I am solving problems in a more abstract way than you are solving problems, because you have to, really, you have a lot more emotion in what you do, I think, than the average computer scientist would.
Yeah, it does depend on what you do, though. I mean, if I'm working with a client who can't read, it's not as emotion-based, unless it's because of an emotion. But
right.
Which can happen. I mean, some people get really nervous with that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So it depends on what I'm treating, and because we have to develop, treatment plans, and we have to have goals. It has to be very objective. And if we're too emotional, then we're not recording data correctly. So we have to be careful with being overly emotional, I think. But it is a lot of emotional.
Right. So for that sort of, and you're learning these skills to do this for your job, do you think that you're benefiting by doing this virtually, or do you wish you could do this virtually, or do you disagree and think that I need to be in person for all of this?
To learn it or to do it?
To learn it, for virtual learning.
See, my career is very just hands-on. So I would say when it comes to the music aspects,
Mm-hmm.
like ear training is just hearing melodies and rhythms and like different things and writing it down.
Yeah.
And so that is great online because then you get instant feedback.
Mm.
So like I started really improving in ear training recently because I've been listening to it and then writing it down and using online stuff.
Yes.
So the teacher doesn't even really have to teach. He teaches basic concepts.
Really?
But he doesn't have to like, you know, because it's only like a 50-minute class. So he can only do so much. It's like once a week. So most of it's like outside practice.
So when you're learning music for music therapy, you are doing a lot of stuff. You need to cover a lot of things, and a 50-minute class once a week is just not covering that for all those students. So the benefits of virtual learning is you're able to get a lot of that at your own pace, and you're able to sort of take as much time as you need compared to, I got to fit all this in with my 1/50th of a student in a 50-minute class. Yeah.
And I actually wish they made modules online that I could complete. It would be really helpful. So, yeah, I do think virtual learning is really good. The one time that it would not be helpful for me is probably when they're like, okay, you're going to meet with a client at 10. You know, it's like, it's just different.
Sure.
And you have to adjust.
So, to clarify what my opinion of virtual learning is, I think that we still need to be in person for some things. But I feel like there are so many things in the modern education system that could benefit from being virtual and not having to force themselves to be taught in a large seminar style class, where you're able to so like technical things I feel like are really good virtually, but you're right, more emotional or social things is really hard to do virtually. Like people aren't great at being able to communicate socially or do social things over the internet because it's just too many layers of separation. You need that body language, like when you're dealing with clients, it's like, how am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to do if I'm just reading it like text or even watching a video? You need to be in the room for some things, But in my career, I haven't had to do any of that. It's all like, what's JavaScript? What's class? How do these things connect to each other? Like it's all academic or mathematical things, like I think math is so much better virtual than it is in person because you get really you just because you get the instant feedback. You're able to like work on things in your own pace. If like, I didn't understand what the teacher just said in this moment, I could just backspace and like go back 10 seconds and watch it again or reread it again. But like when I'm in a class learning math stuff, I have to pay attention the entire time and not blink for a second or else I'll miss it and they'll like go by way too fast. Like I think that's that's not the right environment for that. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's a really good point, and I think for a lot of people that's the case. But I mean, if you look at people with like disabilities, or if you also look at people who maybe struggle with math, who are just not naturally good at it, then they need a teacher with them one-on-one. So like in the class experience, okay, I may not understand this, but then a teacher comes to me and says, she's not understanding it this way, let me put it in this way. So some students have trouble when they, listen to a video and they're like, that's only explaining it in one way. Like some people need different approaches for math, because math can be tricky. But I think you're right though. If you're advanced and if you're really good, it's better to do it online.
Well, I think that's a good point. A lot of the
like learning disabilities, I should say.
No, yes. What I'm trying to say, I'm not wording it in the right way, is if most virtual solutions for teaching people things, they will teach it in one way. You're right, and that is a problem. But I feel like virtually it also provides a solution to that. If one way of learning something doesn't work, it's virtual. I just open a new tab and like learn it a different way. Like there are so many different ways to learn, so many different courses. Like if I don't, like I was learning SQL from one. SQL is a language for like databases and looking up stuff. So I was struggling with the activities through one course. I could just switch courses because it's virtual. I just, search somewhere else. They have plenty of resources for me. I can just go, I want to take this course instead and learn SQL that way. But I think what you're right when you're saying most, like, for example, in Khan Academy, you've used Khan Academy before.
I hate Khan Academy.
And I love Khan Academy.
Really?
I would love we're going to talk about this. But
really?
In Khan Academy, they teach you it one way. It's like you are watching a video or you're reading an article, right? And like if you don't understand the concept through that when they mention it in that one space, like you can't it doesn't word it for you in a different way. So like if you're not getting it that way, you have a learning disability or you're struggling to sort of understand it in the way that it's presented to you, you're kind of stuck and you would need that teacher to like present it to you in a different way, right?
Kind of like, but the thing is, it's so boring.
What's boring about it?
You sit there and then they tell you something and then they write it down like with their thin pen thingy. And I just never liked it.
But isn't that what class in math class is about? Don't they just write it on a whiteboard and you watch it and you have to understand what they're saying? At least in Khan Academy, I can view it up close. I can like see exactly what they're writing. I don't have to like, I'm not like in the back of a class somewhere watching someone try to write it on a whiteboard. I can rewind and like rehear what Khan is saying at each time.
But the problem was it always happened where it'd be like, oh, they just taught one part of the equation, and then there'd be like some other element that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, oh, now I have to figure out what this means, but there's no video for it. That's why I hated Khan Academy.
So you didn't like it because they didn't have the resources for what you were looking for.
No, they never have the resources I'm looking for. It's never the right equation either. I'm like, what? I can't even apply this.
So did you like look around the internet or try to figure out how to solve it, or like did you look it up? Yeah.
They didn't have the right videos. Like it wouldn't have the full equation.
So did you have to go out of your way to like find it somewhere else that wasn't on Khan Academy?
Yeah.
That's the see.
But it didn't really
you looked
help.
somewhere else virtually.
But then I had to call a teacher.
Oh, that's right.
Because
was this for your Ivy Tech class?
Yeah, I took an Ivy Tech math class, which was all online, which actually was convenient because I hate math.
There's benefits because it's convenient.
I was like, okay, I'm not going to wait. With my degree, I'd have to wait till I was a senior to take a math class. And
That's
I was like,
so lame.
I'm going to forget everything.
Yeah.
So as soon as I graduated out of high school, like early, and tried to take some college classes because I wanted to get married to this guy. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, I got it finished, and it was just annoying but the teacher was so sweet. I mean, she always answered if I had any questions, but like, I just didn't feel like I did my best in that class. Like, I don't know. It wasn't terrible.
Why did you feel like you didn't do your best in that class?
Math, I just do better in person. If it's language arts, I can do it online. It's like, meh.
It's language arts.
Yeah.
I'm reading something.
Yeah, you read and then you write,
You read and you write.
And
if I'm writing online, I can immediately spell check, and I can, honestly,
Grammarly.
We should be having people like submit their assignments online more because we need people to type faster. Like, forget handwriting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like well...
You need to know how to do it, but...
You need to know how to do it, but when you're writing an essay, it's like every professor I've had has always took that virtually. Like, I've never submitted, like, a physical paper on something. Like, I've typed it out because we need people to type faster because that's what they're using. Sorry.
I have an English teacher who, like...
There's a hair on my hand that she's trying to get off
Where is it?
for me. I think it's off now. Okay. Oh, wait, no, it's still there. Wow. Sorry. I can cut this out. Anyway.
I think he has sensory texture issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, wait, what were we talking about?
I forget.
Okay, so one thing I don't like about doing online specifically is you never know if it's like open book. And you always feel bad, like, if you're like, well, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have, like, seen that equation, or what if that was cheating? Like, it's just always a worry. And so you always have to, like, email a teacher, so I did this, is that okay? I just don't like that. It's not like that feeling, or that temptation of, like, being on your computer and knowing that, like, I could get 100% on this if I wanted to. The class average is going to be super high, but your score is probably going to be a little bit lower because you're not cheating. I also don't like that unfair contrast.
It feels unfair because it's just so much easier for someone to cheat that those who do will just succeed and be able to get past it. But I feel like in that instance,
the Lord helped me. I didn't cheat.
Amen. Amen to that. Do you think the problem might be that the tests themselves, if they're so easily cheatable by looking something up online, then like what's the point of testing them on that specifically? What I'm saying is,
oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Why are we being tested on this if I can just look it up and I can look up anything because it's, I have my phone, I have a computer. In real life, if I was looking at this and I didn't know it, I would just look it up online.
That's true.
And that is a tough,
But it's still like if you were in a space where like it's like fundamental stuff for your career or fundamental stuff for like that you need to know, like counting money. Well, obviously, like if I didn't, I need to be able to count money without looking up how to count money. You know what I mean? So there's concepts that are
Right.
bigger than that, obviously.
I think,
especially like in a career context.
and this doesn't apply to everything. I agree. So you need like a morality. You need students with morality to be able to get past that temptation of yeah.
Of course, I will say sometimes like on my IB Tech class, what I really liked is they had someone who was like monitoring everything, so I didn't have that like fear in the back of my mind that like I would be like, oh, I could cheat and get an A. You know,
A
like,
lot of people don't
that.
like that monitoring style because it freaks them out and they're nervous and it makes them perform worse on tests if they know that someone's looking at them. Yes, like people despise like having your browser locked down, having your camera on, having someone like look at you the entire time. Like people hate that. Got to make sure you're not looking at your phone out the side of your eyes. So don't even for a second make it look like you're looking around your room, or else we're gonna fail you. That's stressful, you know.
I guess I don't know. I think it's more stressful to monitor yourself, like, and not be able to.
More stressful to monitor yourself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'd rather have someone say, "Oh, like I'm keeping you accountable."
Sure.
Like I want someone to keep me accountable.
I wanted to go back to we were talking about how you needed a teacher to explain a concept to you, or like it just what they had right there wasn't enough. I needed someone to I needed someone to explain this to me because they were not explaining it correctly. Have you used ChatGPT to like ask any math related questions? I wish it came out when you were taking that test in Ivy Tech. But
I used something else.
You used something else like like photo math or
I don't remember. It was the website they used, like it would give you the answer, like they had homeworks that would give you the answer if you couldn't like get it, but I think then you had to do a different problem that was similar.
Right. So you could see how the method worked and then you could take it. Yeah.
But it was really wordy too. I'm like, please give me as little words as possible and just show me what it looks like in the different steps.
Sure.
So.
In your opinion, what parts of education do you wish were online? We talked about ear training at the beginning of this. Like, could you describe what would benefit being online compared to not being a benefit?
I think there's some classes that are definitely more interesting when they're in person. But I would say, like, there are science, you can do science online, especially if it's biology. Because you can do, like, online virtual stuff that looks at cells, which is actually really fun. But you can't do chemistry online. So, like, I would say biology.
I feel like you do chemistry online.
No, because you have to do a lot of, like, you have to mix stuff together, and you have to...
Right, in-person labs. Okay,
it's more of an in-person thing, and there's a lot of labs and, like, different stuff you have to turn in. But,
sure.
Wait, what was the question again?
We were talking about what
classes
benefits... Not just classes, like what type of content is better administered virtually than in person?
Any class that's a lot of writing is better virtually.
Really?
Yeah, because then I'm just like, okay, don't give me an hour thing about, okay, just write out all the instructions you want in the paper.
Right.
Give me an example paper, and then let me write it, and then turn it in. Okay. Like, that's easier for me.
So, lots of writing.
I speak into my microphone. Literally, my ideas just come out, and I just speak. And my best papers have been written through just speaking on my phone.
That's
like,
true.
I have written 9-page, 6-page papers really fast because I'm just speaking to my microphone.
Cannot imagine.
And then when you're quoting data, it's really easy because you can literally just read the quote off your computer and then put in all the citations.
Right. It's just so much less stressful than trying to do all this in person in a class where you can't just talk in a microphone. You know, like the different kinds of learning styles too. Like we have. Not in your case, you're using audio to dictate, you know, which is convenient. But you're also using. Think of the learning styles like a visual learning style, the audio learning style, and the third one. I forget what the third one is. Visual, audio, and writing. I think it's the writing one.
No,
it's not writing one. Reading, visual, audio, and the reading one.
Just a reading one.
I think like you're good at reading text or whatever. Anyway,
I forget what they were.
Most things in school are taught using the reading one, but like virtually, you're able to take advantage of the visual element a lot more, or the audio element a lot more.
I disagree with the audio element.
Because it's not a learning style that you're a fan of, or if it,
like if I hear a teacher speaking in person, and like I remember like emotional experiences, and it's partly because I think it's like a little bit of a gift for my job. I just really remember emotional things in conversations.
Sure.
Like I just remember them better. So sometimes if I have like an emotional attachment to learning, and I'll remember it better.
That is a good point. That's a great point.
Although I'm one of those people who I'm a very specific learning style, and it's a weird learning style. I'm serious.
But
it's really.
don't you, and in your case, a lot of that's in person for you.
I had to learn how to teach myself because a lot of teachers didn't know how to teach me. So I just
awful.
had to figure out, like, okay, I don't work this way. I know that I don't work this way, so I'm going to try to teach it to myself a different way. Mm-hmm. So I just had to go away and, like, honestly, I just had to do it myself. A lot of it. A lot of my education, even in middle school, I had to do a lot myself.
And did technology help you in that way? Or...
Yeah, it was mainly books, but yeah.
That's another thing about virtual learning, I feel like, because we are able to help standardize and, like, establish the learning sort of experience for students when your experience is dependent so much on your teacher right now.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you have a bad teacher, there's almost...
That's so true.
You have to work so much harder, like you, to get out of that awful rut of, like, lack of information, lack of experience, when at least virtually you can help establish modules, help establish practices, help us link resources together. It's like, hey, watch this video on this thing, you know, instead of just being forced to hear this stupid teacher explain it that doesn't, you know, that is
doesn't
not
really know how to teach
doesn't
it.
know how to explain this concept that he studied for years or whatever. Like, how did you...
So much in college.
Oh my gosh, it stinks.
So annoying.
You have dealt with it a lot more than I
Yeah,
have
I know.
because I've been able to do so much more stuff virtually that it's been able to figure it out that way.
That is really nice. Like, I've just had teachers who, like, I've had really good teachers, and then I've had some teachers I'm like, this is terrible. And even the approach is, like, anytime a teacher, like, uses a fear-based teaching style or is very, very strict, it just doesn't work.
That's just
for me.
inhumane.
Well, I think, like, again, an emotion-based person, when it comes to learning, it's very emotional for me. I don't know why. I love learning. Love it. And
we share that.
I'm that type of person who, yes, I want facts and information. Like, I thrive on collecting little bits like that. But when it's like just someone saying, okay, you have to perform this way and you only have this amount of time, when everything's timed, and when the teacher's intense, and when you feel like you're not successful, and they're pointing the finger at you rather than themselves, that's when teaching is, like, ineffective. And
that,
like,
so too much of the human negative element comes in teaching. I think human elements are really great for teaching, but, like, in that case, that was really just hampering your flow, like what you're learning, or like your memory. Like, it's just so much stress being piled on you. Like, if it was more sort of sterile or being able to, like, be processed through, like, a cleaner interface than, like, this person yelling at me the whole time, I just feel like it would be so much more successful for students taking that.
I agree.
So I was hoping, what I'm really hoping for is at the end of this conversation, you would believe that the way that schools and colleges are being taught right now would benefit from increasing more virtual learning experiences.
I think you're right. I think you make a really good point. And, I mean, it really has kind of made me think about it. I'm like, yeah, that would be really convenient if I didn't have to deal with a lot of... Like, I mean, it's very unbiased. It's super objective teaching.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think in a way you're right.
I think virtual learning helps remove bias. It's more convenient for the students that are taking it, able to access more resources than you might be able to in person. And it's just preferable, I think, by a lot of the student body right now. But there are some main cons, like...
socially, it really hinders people.
It is not great for social experiences. It's very tempting to cheat. Like, it's a big problem, and it's kind of a difficult solution to figure out how you're going to get through this without cheating and, you know, blowing everything away by looking everything up on your phone.
And
right.
I think, like, what if we did a mixture? You know, yes, we have teachers, but we have all of our assignments are online.
Yes.
And all of our assignments are based off of, like, or tests are based off of, like, an objective online thing that can teach you and move you through modules, but we also have a teacher.
100%.
Yeah, I forgot why I was going to say that. There was a reason. You said something.
The cheating cons or pros to...
Oh, for the social aspect. For the social aspect, because emotionally, when you're lonely and when you don't have people around you, it's dangerous as, like, smoking cigarettes on you.
Really?
You know? Yeah.
Yes,
really
the negative effects of being... Yes.
Depression and loneliness have severe impacts on the brain, and that's why our generation struggles so much with depression, is because we're so isolated. And we need to get out more. So, yes, we still need to get students on a strict schedule. We still need students to be in class, but maybe we need to teach with online methods more.
in a lot of the cases, I think that you have some classes where it's like, this teacher is not even teaching me anything. It's just testing me and not giving me the chance to ask questions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what if instead of that, some classes turned into, okay, here's content that you learn on your own, but it's virtual. And then in class, you come in to ask me questions. And, like, we will have a discussion going. And, like, we'll be trying to get to everything that people are having questions about so that you feel confident that you understand the material.
One
and
class
I
a
feel
week.
confident.
Yeah.
Yeah. One class a week. And, like, you might have to open it up twice a week or something and go through some modules or some learning exercises.
I would like that, man. That'd be nice.
I think that is a really amazing. We have the technology to do that. We have. It's been done plenty of times. I think it should be the standard. Like when I go to class, I expect to. Not every class, but for most classes, I would be like, okay, I'm learning this online. It makes sense, and I'm asking the teacher questions, and they're answering me, and like we're able to discuss and keep track of questions online, and I still have that social togetherness of talking with the class, because that's very social, is discussing questions and like answering them. Like maybe it would be a small group thing where it's like, oh, I did not understand question 1 at all. It didn't make sense how it was being taught. It's like, oh, I saw it as this and this, and then you're making friends that way. I really believe that we should at least strive for that like standard of a default classroom setting, and maybe for like theater class, no, that's not going to work or something. But for the majority of like common core subjects, that should be how it would work. Yeah.
Well, as long as there's that social connection, then I
gotta get people in class. I think physical classrooms are still very much important.
And I think the classroom should be very, very focused on people interacting.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be important.
And not just sitting there and listening to someone talk forever
For
the
hours.
entire time.
Yeah, it would be more application level.
Because it's so hard to keep yourself focused for that long when I can hit pause and do something else and get a drink of water and then come back and be great and be able to keep following along. Like you need mental rests, and I feel like it's so hard for students to figure out when to have a mental rest in a classroom because it's being taught just this boring, straightforward way.
So true. There's so many times where I've had my time wasted in classrooms.
So many times.
Yeah.
So many times.
All right.
Well, this has been a lovely discussion with you. Thank you so much for coming on air with me. And I love you very much.
Oh, I love you too.
This has been Double Dispatch, and if you'd like to discuss or ask us questions to talk about, you can email us at doubledispatchtalk@gmail.com, or you can join the Discord. There'll be a link down below in the show notes. I won't have many show notes because this is a kind of impromptu thing. Sorry, it's not completely improv. So I do not have any resources. This is just talking through our experiences. So we'd love to hear about your experiences. And thank you so much for joining us on Double Dispatch. It's the stop button.
Our first podcast together, and he farts. I don't know how to pause it.
He's freaking.
I don't know how to use your computer.
You press this button right here. I wonder if you press space, it'll stop.
A battle in my soul, mortally.
Ah, shoot. That's going to be really annoying.
Let's pause it.
Okay, we'll pause it.